expecting something serious discussion on who the greatest arm wrestler was. I was blindsided.
Well, I get asked the same fucking question, all right? Like, I mean, I love talking about arm wrestling, but my God, I get asked that question a lot. Like a comedy amount, you know? I'll probably get, and I'm not exaggerating, I bet I get 20 PMs a week.
Yeah, are you saying, is the question who's the greatest, or is the question Danny Tesh?
Well, my answer...
20 PMs about Danny Tesh.
Yeah. I get questions, you know, and it's always about whose shape at what year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, because somebody like Travis has been on Gary Roberts' show or something like that, and they'll be like, I heard Travis say that he didn't think that Vavoda was that strong actually in 2003 in Edmonton, and then he only got strong in 2004, but he got stronger than anybody's ever been ever. You know? And it's like this, it's an intangible, isn't it? You know? So, I was sat down the other night and I got these questions through. I scrolled down and I had like 10 questions that I looked at. Literally 5 of them motherfuckers were about who's the best and in what shape. And I'm like, right, that's it. I'm going to put this straight and tell him who the man really is. You know? Regardless of shape.
The brand, and I'm like, I watched it in the morning. I was laughing. I almost crashed my car. I'm like, oh my God. So funny.
Danny Tesh at a time, and I don't know what will, but that's not real.
Does Danny know how much Neil loves him?
I don't know. Like Danny, it's like Danny's in witness protection. I don't know. I haven't seen.
He gets talked about constantly on social media. I feel like he has
the dude has such a big brand now that
he's done nothing to build it. Zero.
He's the best of all time. The thing is, I mean, when you came on and told me that he'd grown his hair and everything, I was like, no, that's it. Fucking game changer. No. Absolute game changer. We need him on the show. We need him now. Somebody needs to get, you know, like when people go out in the bush in Australia, they do, you know, can you not like round up some people who can, you know, track professional trackers and like find where he is?
Yeah, like I said, it's like he's in witness protection. Phil Rasmussen, the president of the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation, is the only man that is in contact with him, and Phil has sworn in blood oaths not to give up his location or whatever. Like, because everyone else. I
mean, even that.
Oh man,
makes him the very best.
Yeah, he's some enigma. You can't find him. You can't track him down.
Making the legend bigger.
I'm trying to, in my own mind, understand who Danny Tesh really is. And the way I see it is this, right? Number one, there's a lot of religious people in the world, and they go out and they would love to know about, you know, God and Christ, whoever your belief of that is. But he is either, right, some kind of Messiah, or only other mother that only one person's in contact with, and you've got to go out and, like, call him. Well, actually, there's two. The cartoon version of Godzilla.
Oh, Batman.
Yeah, well, no one has ever seen Danny Tesh and Batman in the same room, so.
Maybe, and he does look a bit like that, doesn't he? So for me, just saying. We should probably start this fucking show. Realistically, we've been in only an hour for like 5 minutes, and we've not even thought about starting the show. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I want to do the introductions. Can I do the introductions?
Not a problem, Ron.
Hey, Neil, shut up. Okay. Welcome to the 30th show of The Fix.
It's 29.
My name is Rolly 30th. It's 29.
Say what? Professionalism.
No.
Go again. Cut.
No cutting. Okay.
Go.
Welcome to the 29.
It's all gone to shit.
Welcome to 29 episode of The Fix.
Hey!
We have a new co-host. He's staying with us for forever. Now we're gonna chat with USA. It's Linn, representing Lethal Arms, having a pair of Lethal Arms. We have Ryan Blue Bowen without the beauty filters today.
Yes.
All kind of drama. All you know me, Rolly Royce of Armwrestling. and we have as soon as his new single dropped, it was #1 at Billboard for at least a minute. Greatest arm wrestler of all time by Neil Pickup. Yeah, Neil Pickup, please tell us the story on how high you are on Danny Tesche's dick. Because we know it's a long one. It's a long one.
It's a big dick, not gonna lie.
Another thing that Danny's got going for him. Come on, who's not on Danny? Who's not on Danny's dick?
I imagine that Danny will come out one day from his cave and everyone's like, Danny! He's like, how did they know me?
Yeah, Danny's the most famous arm wrestler ever.
No one has seen.
That never promoted himself in any way, ever.
Oh, yeah.
I think the responsibility for the promotion of Danny Tesh has got to lie at Ryan's door, surely. I mean,
like I said, Danny, it's like Danny's in witness protection. I can't entice him.
And maybe he is, and we're doing it, and this is awful. Us talking. Maybe he is.
Danny Tesh. Like no amount of money I've ever offered Danny, and I've offered Danny significant amounts of money just to come and have a chat. And you know, and when I say
you can offer me, I will be funny.
When I say he knocked it back, I didn't actually get a response. There was just nothing. I just put the offer out into the ether, hoped that it got to the witness protection program, and nothing came back.
It's just like faith in religion. You just pray and hope something happens. You know, he might respond, he might not respond. Yeah.
Man, I've never spoken to Danny Tesh. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I've interviewed some pretty famous people. I've hung around with some pretty famous people. You know, I'm talking Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sly Stallone.
You'd be nervous with Danny.
Beyonce Knowles. I ever get in the same room as Danny Tesh, I'm going to be like... I mean, where did he come from? Who found him?
Like I said, there are people that went to his wedding that still, they don't know where he is. They don't know the only people, like I said, there is one man in contact with him. He's sworn in blood not to give his location. Bill Rasmussen, the president of the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation, is the only man who knows what's going on. Everyone else that was ever good friends with him, anything, no idea. But he's out there.
People wonder why I like this dude.
It's all left to imagination. The guy he doesn't pop up at practices. He shows up, he's strong as hell, and you're left to your own thoughts of what is this guy doing right now? I picture him like Lance Armstrong, riding Tour de France and training for something totally opposite of arm wrestling, and then comes back and smokes everybody. It's all left to imagination.
It's awesome.
The last time I saw Danny Tesh actually lift a weight, he 10 rep maxed my 1RM. So.
On what?
Side pressure.
He rep 10 times with your 1 rep.
10 reps my 1RM.
With no training. That's proof that there's weirdos out there. They're out there.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? Say Danny gets another match because he's been proposed. So Danny gets another match in the World Arm Wrestling League, okay?
Mm.
How the hell are you going to contact him?
You like you said, you got to make an application through Phil Rasmussen. That's the only avenue I know, and nothing's ever come back from it. But I feel like there's got to be a carrot somewhere that Danny will pop up for. I don't know what the carrot is, but I don't know.
So
maybe.
The World Arm Wrestling League has to have like a contact email, right? I mean,
No,
they have to pay the guy.
I've had Jamie message me and say, Ryan, can you pass this message on to Danny for me? And I'm like, dude, I'll try. But I got no idea.
So he never practices.
Oh man.
He doesn't show up at, like, because he's with Rasmussen's club, yeah?
No arm wrestler outside of Phil Rasmussen has seen Danny in over a year and a half in Brisbane. Since he's WAL, that was it. He pulled WAL, and no one's seen him since.
I love him.
We know.
I fucking love him.
Quietly retired. He didn't enjoy his experience, and he quietly retired. He's on to Tour de France now.
He's like, "What's fun? Bye."
I mean, people message me this morning. They're like, "The story's about Danny. Is that true?" With the blind koala bear. I don't know.
Probably.
I imagine Neil has a room where there's the pictures of Danny and some strings going to the sides, and now Rasmussen's going to be added there, and he's like, gonna put the cross on Ryan Bowen. He's like, nah, it doesn't stick together, nah.
No joke, right? This is not. I'm not kidding now. I've been contacted by this filmmaker, right? He wants to make a film about me. No, this is for real.
Yeah.
This guy's come on this documentary. He says, I want to make a documentary on you. Right. Covering your life in strength sports, combat sports, arm wrestling, strongman fight sports, all this stuff. I'm like, okay. This motherfucker rings me. I'm going to be like, forget that boring crap. I've got a story. I've got something we can do. Let's find Danny Tesh. And we can document it. I could take like a film,
looking for Bigfoot.
Well, hang on. You guys know about, obviously, Devin Larratt's arm bet, and how Devin is putting out this Pokemon component where arm wrestlers are rare Pokemon. Danny Tesh has to be the ultra rare Pokemon. If anyone locates Danny Tesh on arm bet and pulls him, that's like the greatest achievement you can achieve.
It would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? Just say you're in some random location somewhere on one of them freedom tables. You're just in a woods and there's some piece of friggin' flat rock. Suddenly,
to save the world, you need to learn sacred techniques from Danny Tesh.
Yeah,
someone's going to go on a pilgrimage and meet him in the middle of woods with the hair.
He might just show up on your ass. You'd be out in the woods somewhere in deepest Australia. Fucking trees start shaking. Out comes Danny. But he wouldn't just come out, would he? You'd get like, what? It'd be some angel song or shit. With a harp. It'd be like a harp.
He's descending from the sky.
Yeah. Levin goes there before his match with Ziplenko to prepare, He's like, I need some help.
Joking aside, I think I should do that. I think I should speak to this filmmaker and say, look, no joke, let's go and find him. Because I once watched this program, right? And it was about, Nessie, yeah? The Loch Ness Monster. Everybody knows, you must know about Nessie. So this guy shows up and he's like, this guy's just got, for years in my part of the world, there's been an amazing legend of a monster in this loch. And I have assembled the greatest team of scientific experts ever assembled. And this guy had like an unbelievable amount of kit. He'd got like 30 boats and like radar, sonar, fish finders, divers, underwater cameras, every goddamn thing you could possibly get. What the would I need to trap Danny Tesh? I could go over and just go super, super covert on his ass.
Mm. Oh man, that would be a killer documentary. Literally, if you actually did that.
The beauty of it, these shows about Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, they never really find Bigfoot. It's still entertaining.
If you found the motherfucker?
There doesn't have to be a climax to this thing. I think it's better if you don't.
I'm not going to lie. The anticipation I'd get would be similar to if I've discovered King Kong's King Island. I bet you do. I bet when you get near him, there's like a storm or something, some fucking electrical storm surrounding the dude. You go through like, holy shit, he must be close. And your fucking hair would start flowing about and that. And then you go through and there'd be Danny just sat there poking a fire with his
It's like the people who do the storm chasing. You get to the point where you can see them, but the weather gets so bad that you can't get close enough.
And I love the fact that you get these reports coming in of him, like a fishing report. Like, like if sometimes all around the world you'll get, a massive shark was reported off port, whatever, somewhere. You get that with Danny. Other week you came on here and you're like, you can't even say it loud. You're like, the rumour is Danny TESCHE is 80 kilos. He's got long hair. And we're all like, and everybody's riveted. Everybody's like, fuck me.
The brand that man has built without just lifting a finger is phenomenal.
But he's not retired, has he? He's genuinely still in the mix. Well, when you speak to Rasmussen, he says, yeah, he's still.
You can't really determine that he is retired. We don't know. We know that he left. When we last saw him, he was phenomenal. We know the rumours are he still is physically training. So you can only assume that if he pops back up, he would be about us instantly, of course, again. So, I don't know.
It adds to his legend for me that it's a bit like Lucas, isn't it? When I interviewed Richard, and Richard said, yeah, I never trained. Ain't doing it. My sister was a bit like that, I've got to be honest. My sister was like, yeah, arm wrestling, you do it on that table over there. Oh, right, okay. And then goes and cracks like Heidi Anderson and Marlin. With no training. Never trained, just, they're out there. There are some weirdos out there. And Danny sounds like he's ultimate weirdo. Yeah, he's like a guy who never trains for arm wrestling, doesn't really have that much technique or finesse, it would appear, just cuts into you and holds forever. You bleed out, you die, he wins. Ace. What an hombre. Love him. We've got to find him, Ryan. We must find him. That should be your job. You're not far away from where his location is. You need to find him.
We will take you off the show. If you don't find him, we take you off the show. You find him, you get back.
Sometimes being close is the furthest from where you can be.
Let's vote.
Harsh, really, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. So, I feel like we're approaching sort of 15 minutes in or something. We've not gone off Danny TESCHE. I'm good with, but maybe some other viewers will be like,
again.
So,
oh man,
I'm gonna start the thing off by formally sort of saying how pleased I am to welcome Paul Linn as a resident on the show, because we had amazing feedback on Paul. People were saying, "Oh, Paul's great for the show." I've had PMs all about him. Fair enough, it was all from birds, but that doesn't matter.
It's my honor to be amongst this company, man. I got the utmost respect for all three of you guys. I'm just glad to be counted in the same sentence.
It's absolutely quality to have you on, mate. And it was unanimous when I spoke to Ray and Ryan and said, what do you think about this idea? And they're both like, 100%, absolutely, get him on. And, you've sort of, it's fair to say that you're one of the most active arm wrestlers in the scene in North America, the most active arm wrestlers of anyone at the moment. I'm not seeing anybody who's more around about town than you are, mate. You pretty much pop up everywhere, and that's great for this because it gives us things to draw off. Now, It's on that I wanted to start the show again. I'm in kind of a weird place with this, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm actually thinking of withdrawing from the whole bet on Todd and Lachlan, and here's why. Because that started out as a bit of fun on the show and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a bit nasty.
Yep.
Yeah, weirdly.
And I like both men a lot, you know what I mean? I really like Todd and I really like Lachlan. And it's like, whoa, sweet child of mine, how did we get there from there?
Yep. I felt it coming. I
weirdly got roped into it as well. I've had 30, 40, 50 people messaging me saying, is this you? are you orchestrating this? And I'm like, I swear it is not me. It's like, I will always give my opinion about the arm wrestling, but personal stuff, goodness no.
Well, I noticed you kept your distance early on. Like, you were quiet for like the first day or so, which is how I know you had nothing to do with it. It's easy for people to say, oh, well, Ryan wants, he just wants more, social media hype. But I don't think you said a word in the first 24 hours. Yeah. As it was starting to get weird. And then the DMs and stuff and the discussions kind of like in the shadows were that of like, actual anger, So
yeah.
It got really weird, really quick.
It was like when we were talking about the stylistic side of things and the whole, for me that's fascinating. It's interesting. It may come to fruition. I personally still believe that Todd will have too much. And I'm talking about, like I said, that sort of 6-month time frame where we were viewing the Lachlan of that point in time versus the Todd of that point in time, not in 3 years when Todd's not interested anymore or decides to do something else and Lachlan's got much better. I just believe that Todd's got much more at this point in time, more experience and a lot of things, and I think he would outlast Lachlan and beat him. But nevertheless, I'm not necessarily right on that. It's one of those things where styles do make matches. Maybe there's some occurrence there where Lachlan, but we sort of moved from that, and it had gone to, Todd came over to Australia and, he wasn't the best when he came over to Australia and took advantage, and then Todd, obviously, that would hurt anybody to hear that, so Todd fires back with his own shots, and it just descended quick, and that's, in my experience, and my experience of Lachlan is far more limited than with Todd, but Lachlan, when I've ever heard from him, spoke to him, is like an arrow, straight, motherfucker. You know what I mean? He's not, there's no malice in him, he's straight as an arrow. He calls it how it is. And Todd, pretty similar, to be honest. He's never sort of like, whenever I've had a lot of experience with Todd, speaking about raw subjects, him and RVJ have been not the best of buddies. And yet Todd is always respectful, acknowledges the fact that Rob's a beast, that he is dangerous, that he is threatening. But something here has really tweaked him. Clearly.
Yeah. There's something underlying that doesn't ever really. It's not the right thing to be involved in a sport or of any kind. Whenever personal stuff, and whether personal stuff truly exists or whether it's just an exaggeration of a little feud that happened, whatever it is, it did blow out to uncomfortable proportions. Like I said, we all saw it. I got roped into it, and I'm trying to stay clear of it.
Right.
And but yeah, I think that in time it will pass whatever that uncomfortable nature of it was, and we'll get back to arm wrestling. And I think they'll meet someday, but it's not like that.
Well, even things like if they both attended as Lottie Tour or something like that, which I don't know whether they've got plans to do that. Probably, I think Lachlan has, doesn't he?
Lachlan 100% wants to go to Lottie Tour. That's where he wants to test himself again. Without a doubt. I mean, we're all hungry for starts. It's been almost 12 months since an official Ready Go for myself, for Lachlan, and it's probably going to be longer than that. And he's in a season where he's had his first 100% focused year, and he's just chomping at the bit, ready to test himself. So,
you guys have gone 12 months without having any competition over there at all?
Yeah, we have not had an official Ready Go.
With what's going on over there, is there any way for you to put together some like unique tournament to facilitate that?
We've tried to put on state tournaments. Like we were meant to have a state tournament only probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and literally 7 days prior to that tournament, COVID restrictions changed and the venue cancelled on us. We couldn't do anything, and we just keep on getting shot in the foot, and all of our states are locked at the moment. I can't leave my state. Victoria's the worst down in Melbourne. They got the longest lockdown in the history of any city in the world. They're like 6 months in their homes now. They're not allowed to leave their homes.
We are pretty much dissimilar to that in some respects. Now, where I live, we're in a situation where you're not allowed to go to anyone's home. So if you've got friends, you can't go to the house, you can't go to the garden. There's a maximum. If you meet anywhere outside, say you go to a park or a pub or something like that, there's a maximum of 6 people.
Wow.
Can be in that area with you. Mm. So it's not.
For me, there's one good thing that's come of all of this coronavirus stuff. It's the intrigue of seeing where the chips have landed after a year of no international competition. Mm. Has the order changed? Who's managed to utilize this time to really improve, and who's kind of faded a bit? That's intriguing because normally we have a live feel of who's sitting where in the ranks. Where now it's all up in the air. We don't know where the chips are going to fall this time. So that to me is exciting, at least.
Well, Ray's had competitions over there. You've had your nationals. You've had, how many have you had, Ray?
Competitions?
Yeah.
We will have one this weekend. I'm competing as well. And we have had in Latvia 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 or 5. Plus we went to Lithuania to compete. It's from July, so from July up till now. And yesterday was the biggest number of cases by 3 times. We had 105 cases new in Latvia. And like the biggest before that was 32 or 34, something like that. So we are a little bit, afraid, but they're all coming from sports league like hockey, ice hockey, because the teams are coming in and they have COVID, so everyone's in lockdown and things like that. But yeah, we are arm wrestling. I have one competition this weekend, and then we plan to do one very big in Latvia at the end of November and start of December with some super matches and everything else. So it's good that we can do it. It's bad that we cannot go somewhere else. All the top guys are just sitting there because if you're Giannis, if you're Vlad, if you're Thompsons, Sheds, there's no one to arm wrestle for you in your class, So I think that's the sad part with all this. The good
Have
part
all your events been outdoors?
No, just 1 or 2. 2 we did outdoors and rest inside, and we have almost like we had Midas Briedz, our boxer, won world championship past Saturday. So we were sitting in a bar and it was full of everyone. Like, I would say no restrictions now. The restrictions are so, you will not notice them, if you go anywhere. If you go to theater, there's, 2 spaces, 1 free, 2 spaces, 1 free, and things like that. But, you will not notice anything in Latvia, at least now.
We're competing around here and we're in the north too, so our restrictions are a little bit more than the south. I talked to Ron Bath and those guys came up from Georgia to Maryland, and they said they had to get a mask to come up here. Like, they're not wearing masks down there. He said it's bars, everything are the same down in Georgia and in the south. Now up here in the north, our tournaments are outside and things like that. But I mean, we got tournaments back to back to back. Like, we got one this weekend. There's going to be another one 2 hours away, 2 weeks from now. The practices are crazy. If I put anything out for a practice local here, I'm getting 50 guys. So people are definitely hungry around here, and even with the restrictions. So
yeah.
I feel like the novelty's almost starting to wear off of this, and people are saying screw it,
Well, the thing is, over here, we have the media outlets. I've been contacted by certain high-profile national media outlets that were looking for stories, kind of, digging for dirt. They were like, so arm wrestling, are you going to be having tournament? And you knew for a fact that this was a journalist trying to pin you to say, oh yeah, we're going to have a show, and they'd be like, you motherfucker, and they'd write, because arm wrestling's perceived as, and is, pretty difficult to run safely, let's be fair. If you're like judging by the rules of COVID and infection, yeah, I mean, you're really
but you let's compare it to any other contact sport. Like, we're playing football here, There's 22 people on the field, and they're lined up 1 foot away from each other, and they're hitting, and bodily fluids are being exchanged, blood, spit, sweat. And we're saying we can't have spectators to watch football, but it's okay for 22 people to do that. So we're living in a world of contradictions right now, and we just gotta like swim through them.
But I mean, even people say, well, it's no worse than UFC, but it kind of is worse than UFC in some respects because it's one-on-one competition, super match competition, definitely, safer than main draw tournament arm wrestling. I mean, main draw tournament arm wrestling, unless you're entering the world orgy or finger banging championship, it's pretty fucking bad, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're basically gripping hands with 20 or 30 guys in your class, and if you touch your face, it can transfer.
World orgy competition.
Yeah. I mean, I'm up for it, Ray, you know what I'm saying? No, joking aside though, what I love is when you see guys at tournaments, and they go up to the stage with a mask on, and then there's a slip out before they got the strap, and immediately put mask on the floor, and I just think, oh mate.
Yeah. It's. I think everyone just wants to show that they're trying to do something. If something happens, we try to do something, and it's in kind of way it's a lot worse when you don't do anything. But there's no difference. There really isn't. It's all about perspective. Like we are trying to do this. We are trying to do this. If it works, it doesn't work. No one cares. So
all of our clubs have ceased to operate under their club entities because we don't want to get stung by the government for a fine. So everyone's just doing it in their garage. And
well, I do agree with it, mate. Because if you've got restrictions that are nationally imposed, and obviously there are people's lives at risk through this thing, which it clearly must be. If we have to do without arm wrestling for a year, it's not the end of the world, is it? You know what I mean? I mean, it's funny. I was on to Mike the other day, and people send me messages. Say, oh, when will the World Arm Wrestling League be back? Will you now start doing Arm Wars events instead of World Arm Wrestling League because it's been away since April for a year? No, not really. I mean, let's be honest. The Olympic Games were cancelled.
Yeah.
That should give people a pretty clear indication that everybody's in the same boat here, And Mike was saying to me the other day, well, there's not many matches to do. It's really boring. Yeah, and it is for everyone. That's the thing. I mean, so many people, like you say, I know Todd was on the other day on Jake's podcast, Aussie Arm Wrestler. You haven't seen Aussie Arm Wrestler, guys? Go and check out Jake. I actually felt really bad for Jake in that interview because just the most awkward situation for Jake when you've got a delay like that. Couldn't be worse. There's nothing worse.
Yeah, they had an audio delay as well. It was horrible.
So hard for the guy to deal with.
Jake's awesome though, and like I did one with him, and he is like in his element when it's really light, when the topics are really light and you're being funny and you're doing puns and all things like that. That first off, with all the stuff going on with Lachlan, the energy was weird, and he just seemed
it's not exactly like Jake's ideal scenario, is it? So, Lachlan, he gets on and he starts saying that, and also he knows Lachlan well, so he's like interviewing Todd respectfully. It's really difficult to put something across the Todd. It's like, so Todd, I hear Lachlan wants to kick your fucking head in.
How do you feel about it?
And then that natural delay kicks in, and you've just got who's frozen, his eyebrows are, for like 2 minutes. How can anybody not feel uncomfortable? It's like, this is for a hand job. Any chance of a hand job, love? That delay, that motherfucker only needs to delay 5 seconds, and you'd be like, forget it, I'll watch Netflix. No, I couldn't. I just felt so bad for Jake there. It was like, oh man, that was awkward, horrible scenario for the guy. And he's a lovely lad, Jake, as well. As I say, get over, check out. Maybe not that one because it's difficult to delay. But
I listened to the whole thing. I didn't look at it. I put it on headphones and listened to it.
It was. I haven't seen the second part yet, but I saw the first part, and it's just interviewers curse when you get that delay. It's just horrible. Even in professional, you can go on some kind of TV interview. I remember I did a thing for a local Look Northwest broadcast here for the BBC years ago, and they had a really significant time delay. And it's so awkward when you've got that They said something, they sat there with you, and you're like,
for me, Phil, the early days of my YouTube channel getting traction amongst the audience, obviously I was doing lots of interviews with John, and it was remote stuff, and the comments that I would get of people being so angry at me for cutting off John because we had this freaking 3-second delay, and people are saying, who is this shitty little redhead cutting off the greatest arm wrestler of all time when he was about to make a point? Man, I copped such a roasting, but it's funny stuff.
It's hard. And we're here working with like Tim Pot stuff, It's not easy. With your Wi-Fi speeds all hooked up. Oh mate, that's our trials and tribulations. Anyway, let's get into a little bit of the sort of everyday and the current. So I want to pick up on something you said a moment ago, mate. Obviously, you were talking about where the cards will fall. Who's done what in this lockdown period. And I want to know, just going round you guys, if you look at just within this collective, because you're all guys that are very active, you all train regularly and are very dedicated to that. If you look at yourself same time last year or even pre-COVID this year, do you think you've gained, lost, or stayed the same? And we'll start with you, Ryan.
You said me or Ray?
Ray's answering right now.
Yeah.
No, Go right.
I know that I'm a different arm wrestler. I believe I'm the strongest arm wrestler I've been. I think that despite the shoulder injuries, I'm actually in the most dangerous shape that I've ever been in. The injury, I saw it as a bit of a blessing. It made me search and feel for different ways of utilizing my strengths. And so I've had an increase in neurological efficiencies on counters and weapons that I never used to employ. So I feel like I've added movements to my game. In a strength sense, I feel really, really strong right now. I'm 92 kilos, walk around. So what's that, 205 pounds? And again, despite the shoulder, I actually think easily I'm the best I've ever been. I always find that within myself, I can feel a sense of a trajectory of my game. And I actually feel like the last 6 months has been an acceleration of my trajectory compared to what I've had in the past.
Have you seen that with like training partners, for example? I know you do a lot with Lachlan.
Yeah.
I know you do a lot with Jordan, a bigger Jordan. Jordan's what, 92, 93 himself?
92 kilos, yeah. He's a touch heavier than me most days of the week now. I felt that Lachlan and Jordan, we all feel like we're progressing pretty similarly. But the other guys in the club that aren't quite as committed, man, I can hold people in places now that I'm just like, wow, this dude, like big Marcus Atirai, Devin Larratt has talked about Marcus Atirai, 155 kilo MMA fighter, described him along with Shaq as one of the strongest novices he's ever gripped. Marcus used to, 12 months ago, feel like a nightmare to me. Now I grip Marcus and I'm like, out of straps, I'm like, I can just turn his pronation down. I'm like, where the hell's this come from that I can do this to Marcus now? And I'm like, wow, okay. I don't think Marcus has changed. I think he's stayed pretty much what he was 12 months ago. And now I'm turning him in very easily. So it's like, this is nice.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, people could argue that you're in a unique situation because you are in fact a professional arm wrestler. You know, as near to a professional arm wrestler as anyone. What about yourself, Paul? You big changes your way, or?
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of months was real tough for me because I've had 24-hour access to our strength facility, which is pretty good for like the past 12 years. So I got locked out of that. Plus I had a gym at work, so double days was really easy for me. Commercial gym, come home to the strength facility, the old grimy weights. And that got shut off like a light switch. And I had to, I went with my buddy Justin, basically built me a garage gym, but it's just not the same. Now I went in there and went as hard as I possibly could, but emotionally it was like a drain because I didn't have the same equipment to work out with. So I watched my general strength just slowly kind of dwindle. I fought it off as much as I could, but now what I did during that time, we did arm wrestle constantly, so that was good. But the lack of competition and the fact that I couldn't do double days, forced me to kind of heal up. So I do feel like elbow wise, the inner elbow, all of the pains and that I was battling kind of healed up. So, I have some other things going on that I got to deal with, but I think overall what it did for me was help me get healthy. I'm not running around competing everywhere and maxing out and everything. So the amount of table time I got, I think I progressed technically, and the amount of quality table time. I was able to, rather than going to tournaments, I went back to the old, hey, I'm going to go train with some of the better dudes. Mm-hmm. So I got a lot of quality time in with some good arm wrestlers, and I think that really helped me progress. So I think all things considered, now that I'm back to lifting, my numbers are back. You know how muscle memory brings you right back to where you were. So yeah, I think watching guys around me, I do think in the States, like Brian's saying, a lot of like those mid-level pros, probably regressed a little bit, just because of the lack of activity that we normally have around here. A lot of guys, I think, got in their fields and kind of clammed up and stayed to themselves and probably didn't train at all. Devin talks about thinking like, whoa, man, people are going to come out of this thing so crazy strong. Well, I think only that same 5% that is completely dedicated to the sport are going to come out super strong. But the other 95%, I think, did suffer. That's my take on it.
That might be some of what you're seeing, Ryan.
Yeah.
Possibly. And Ray, let's move on to you, mate, because you're pretty similar to Ryan in some ways, in that your livelihood, your life is around personal training, around fitness, around strength. Your arms are massive. Your hair is nice.
Thank you, sir.
All of those things. You're approaching Danny's level.
Oh, I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't dare. But yeah, like for me, the catalyst was for the Haugland match. I would say I was never better in February, right before, March. Like I went to competition, Norway, smashed everyone, and that gives you confidence. You get in his country, you beat his class, you don't feel anyone, so confidence. And before that match, I felt really good. Then everything happened, and we started training with Youngs. So, of course, it's a lot of top roll, back pressure, everything else. And one thing that is really, really good about all this lockdown is like time. Time to think, where you don't have that much distractions, where you don't have that much responsibilities, everything else. We usually, I have stuff to do, and it never stops. And like you have time, you start to think about, I had these times where I'm like, I get a click about something in a training. I need to try it. I write it down. I go to gym and I test it. So, basically I found a lot of stuff training wise for me, for my guys, for everything in this period, implemented everything. Everyone who trains with me on table, they know that I have progressed like crazy. And with my right arm, which was always the suckiest arm, like hard, because the elbow problem, the nerve problem, now I would even say it's much better because it can, all the basic moves, I can do them pretty good. Plus I have my tricep press, that's my ace move, and I really feel I progressed a lot, and I feel sorry if Frode is not doing the same, because when we get the chance, I really believe there's no chance for him right now. I feel like compared to in March, I'm different level arm wrestler. Still progression, still transitioning through techniques and everything else, it's very hard to go from inside to outside and make it feel fluidly and naturally with strong opponents. And that's the idea. I don't care about weak opponents. I can hold everyone for days. But the strong ones, you're like, okay, this guy I lost because this element, let's say, my wrist flexion, not my finger wrist flexion was weaker. I focus on that. So I feel good. I feel really, really good. Whatever the future brings, I feel really, really good about it. Yeah.
So the Frode Haugland match, obviously that's iced at this point in time. I don't know what Norway's like, whether Norway's got high cases or anything like that, but you've still got international travel in and out of Latvia, haven't you?
Yeah, like Latvia right now, I would say is the one only place where you can go and you don't have to do quarantine because our numbers are so low. Like for us to go anywhere outside, we have to do quarantine except Vatican City. Everywhere else, because the number of cases are so high. So the travel is allowed, but I would still have to like stay 10 days in. After I come back.
Also, and again, where Frode is. We don't know whether Frode is
going. Yeah. No, I think Frode has been training. I know guys he trains with. I talk with them, and he's been active. And then I think we can do some challenge videos together. Pushing each other. I love Frode. I can't wait to arm wrestle with him. He's one of my favorites. Like that guy gives his all. Every time, every match. It's like, my super match favorites, Devon, Frode,
Yeah, Frode is.
Oh man, yeah.
Iron. I absolutely love the kid. He's mega. Yeah. Just, for me, definitely one of the most entertaining, if not the most consistently entertaining arm wrestler I've ever seen in my life. That guy has been in more amazing matches. If you sort of look at body of work, who's been in barnstorming amazing pulls, Frode Haugland has been in an incredible amount of battles. Because so many people can get an advantage on him. They get to that place where, I never lose from here. I'm in an amazing spot. Nobody can possibly beat me from this except that mother. Him. And that's why my dream match in the World Arm Wrestling League was always, or Arm Wars, was TESCHE Frode.
Yeah.
It will always remain the holy grail. I want that bad, That match would be ace. And COVID-19.
You wouldn't see any top roll in that match.
Listen, how disappointed are you going to be if Danny's somewhere in a cave training his ass off and that winds up being 3-0?
I don't know whether I could handle it more. I don't know if I could handle it. I just, it's ridiculous. It's like, Frode may not be Danny TESCHE, but he sitteth on the right hand of the Father. He's not that far removed. He's iron. Absolute. Anyway, so, Ray, when we spoke about this last time, and you were like, well, I'd leather Ryan. Every time I've pulled him, I've beaten him on practice day and stuff. Would you say you'd leather Ryan easier now?
Man has no shoulder. I wouldn't dare to go there. Like, let's get Ryan healthy and then we can talk. I feel like even though he feels better with hand control and everything else, it's still a big element, especially in hard matches, especially when you're facing someone who pushes. So let's get Ryan healthy and we'll figure it out.
I actually subscribed today to Lachlan Adair's shoulder therapy routine. I saw the surgeon last week. The surgeon gave me cortisone. The reason he gave me cortisone and didn't schedule surgery for me, he said, look, looking at your connective tissue, there's more inflammation in your shoulder than your connective tissue suggests. I.e., your tissue looks good, but you're super inflamed. So he said, let's get rid of the inflammation, and I want you to go and make your shoulder a well-rounded shoulder, because you're too kyphotic. Your humerus doesn't sit the way your humerus should be sitting. So you need to fix that. And once you've done,
your back's arched, right? Really, mate. We're just looking at videos and looking at you. I mean, just the Babayev boys, Ruslan and Ruslan got. Do you remember when they looked like turtles? You'd be expecting David Attenborough and the mother to crawl out of the sea and lay an egg. Literally, you used to go to some events and the Babayev boys would come walking in, and they're just turtle-backed. Their lats were just massive. And you've definitely got that sort of back coming where it's leaning you forward.
I recognise it as a problem, and the surgeon said, fix that up, get your shoulder strong in all the traditional planes that a shoulder's meant to be strong in, and then let's see if, and he said, and then test your shoulder out, arm wrestle hard, and see if the inflammation comes back, and if it does, then we'll go under the knife and we'll fix it all up. But I appreciate when a surgeon tells me not to get surgery. So,
right.
To me, that's, yeah.
Yeah. Is it a full labrum tear?
No, well, it's weird. It's weird. Like, there's damage to the labrum, but it's not a full tear. It's messy, but it's loose and it's vulnerable, but it's not obviously torn.
Did you guys discuss like PRP or stem cells or anything like that, like the alternative to invasive stuff?
We didn't go down that path. I've had since then a lot of people on YouTube asked me to go back and ask him those questions, so I've kind of addressed that and rebooking another consultation to see what other sort of therapies there are available. But yeah,
he said after he gave you cortisol shot and he told you to arm wrestle. Did you try to arm wrestle? How did it go?
I today and went quite hard at it, and pain wise, it's much improved, but stability wise, it's messy.
Cortisone. It's funny because I went down a similar path. Like my first approach to my elbow was a cortisone shot to be able to compete in WAL, and then went back for second and third opinions. My second opinion, the ortho said you absolutely must have surgery, which I said no, I don't want surgery. There's other options out there. So I got a third opinion from an elbow down specialist, and he said exactly the same thing, Ryan. He said, my job is to not operate on you. If you ever get a surgeon who tells you that you need surgery and you will be 100% after that, they're trying to sell you something. So I subscribed to that guy right away. I said, okay, I'm with you. Whatever you want to do, let's go.
I've certainly had experience with surgery. I've had 3 full joint rebuilds, and one thing I can say is you're never the same. You're never right. You can't. Your range of motion isn't the same. Your flexibility isn't the same. Your strength, I don't believe, is the same. You're just not.
So, like, for me, if WAL pops up mid next year or something like that, I see the next 6 months or 8 months for me as an opportunity to get in shape, lose some body fat, get some shoulders actually healthy and developed, and look like a different arm wrestler when I turn up. That's kind of my long-term plan.
There's a lot you can work around with shoulder injuries too. Yeah. And with this whatever Lachlan gave you a rehab, I'm sure it's range of motion stuff and all different planes. I think, and I don't know how much you do of that, Ryan, but I think you'll be surprised if you strengthen everything around that joint, the added stability, and there's compensation that's going to happen. And through football, both of my shoulders are all messed up. I've never gone and got an MRI, but I'm pretty sure I have labrum and subscap issues for sure. I don't even want to know. So, but I've known plenty of guys in the Olympic lifts, who can compete in clean and snatch without either labrum. Like don't get surgery unless you have to. That's my
100%.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at 50 minutes in this particular episode, and that wraps up 29 of The Fix. Ladies and gents, if this is your first visit to the Supernatural Strength channel and you don't know the guys that I've got on the show with me, I'm going to introduce them to you now one more time, and they can tell you where you can go and check out more of their stuff. Firstly, the newest member of the residency here, Mr. Paul Linn. Where can I go to see you? It's on the shirt. Mother fluffers.
Oh, the shirt. ShopLethalArms.com. You can check me out on YouTube at Lethal Arm Assassins.
Second, but by no means is he least. His hair is wonderful. His arms are massive. He lives in an area where there are no COVID cases. And his name is Rolly Royce, Raimonds Liepins.
The voice of Armwrestling.
Yes!
Yeah, that's right.
I thought you were going to leave me hanging then. I thought he's not going to win. He's not
This is going to be my sexy voice from now on.
There you go, he says. Reserves that one for the ladies. Frightened Ryan. Ryan's like...
They never sound like that down the gents' toilets when I'm...
That voice sounds like Ryan's filter looks.
Mate, beautifully segueing into our last guest, our last residency. Does he need any introduction anywhere in the world of arm wrestling?
Ryan, beautiful.
Mate, if you want to see our 40-year-old man can have skin so soft that it could appear on an Andrex advert, then go over and see this guy. Check him out. Ryan Blue Bowen, where can they see more stuff about you, son?
Yeah, type in Ryan Blue Bowen anywhere on any social media platform, you'll find me.
Ryan Blue Bowen, the man with the nicest skin in the whole professional arm wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you again on The Fix next time. Till that time, take it easy, peeps.
Like, subscribe, share.